into the program, Uncle B, Blaine Fowler, via Zoom. Blaine, we're having a fun conversation about sustainability of the transfer portal. What's leaning in too much? What's the right balance? What's your opinion on all this?
Yeah, I feel like, the transfer portal's here to stay, especially in basketball. And I feel like the transfer portal can be used. You go recruit your freshman classes and you bring in your core of guys that fit your university and fit what you're trying to do. And then you evaluate after they've been there a year or two, okay, what pieces are we missing and how do we augment that with transfer portal guys? And a perfect example of that is San Diego State and UConn just played in the national championship game last night. Hurley, last year, they lost in the first round of the tournament. He's like, we're just not good enough on the outside. We don't have shooters that we can bring off the bench. We got to go get some guys. They went and signed 4 perimeter players, a number of which Newton, of course, is starting on the outside for them, but a lot of guys that are coming in and having a big impact. One that everybody will know from BYU is Calcaterra from University of San Diego comes in and is out there shooting 44% from 3 off the bench for those guys. So he didn't recruit his core from the portal, but he looked at what the missing pieces were, and he went out and got 4 pieces that fit, and they earned the national championship game. Dutch at San Diego State, who's a good friend of all of ours, he went out and got a couple of big transfers. Micah Parrish and Trammell in this offseason have had a huge impact because he needed some guys that could really defend on the perimeter and could shoot threes. And they brought Bradley in from Cal the year before. So 3 of his key guys are transfer portal guys. But Mensah and all those guys have been there for the long term. So their core they recruited as freshmen. And then they looked at what the missing pieces were, and they went and filled those pieces in with transfer portal guys. And I think that's the formula in basketball. So what does BYU need to do? I think they went out and got some guys. I don't know. Of that group they got last year, I think Jackson Robinson has the best potential to long-term be a really big-time contributor.
Amen.
But the core has to be those freshmen that they had to play this last year, right? Like that's Hall and Saunders and Toulson. Those guys need to develop and be really, really good, and they may need to go get Foose, right? And a Tiki. And then you augment it with these other guys, and we're looking at that homegrown hoopers on one side. Those guys have to develop and be your core. And the first page that we just looked at, those guys have to be guys that fill in and bring something to this team that the other guys don't. And there's a real good balance. Shep, you were talking about that. There's a real big balance between getting too overboard on transfers and not having enough of those core guys. It's really important to maintain that balance. And in football, I think they've been able to do a pretty good job of that.
Okay, so let's talk about that balance, because we all agree that you need to find the balance. Does it fluctuate year in and year out on how much you lean into the transfer portal, how much you lean on the core? I mean, what's the risk reward on leaning too far one way or the other year in and year out?
I think this past year is hopefully a little bit of an aberration, because it was really Mark's first recruiting class where he had return missionaries that had to go out and then come back. And so all of a sudden he had to play those guys as freshmen. They weren't quite ready for prime time. I think they will be next year. And so they had to rely way more heavily on the transfer portal. I think it was too much, right? But I think that fixes itself as these guys develop. And if you bring a Colin Chandler off a mission, who's probably ready to play right when he comes off of mission, right? Let's face it, he's the best recruit they've had since Danny, probably. And so I think they get back to where more of the core is what they're relying on, and the transfers are some key cogs that come in. I'm not saying that a transfer player can't be your best guy. That can be the case. Remember Wiltshire a couple years ago for Gonzaga that came from Kentucky after being the 6th man of the year in the SEC. He was their best guy, but it wasn't like they were relying on 5 transfers to carry the team. And so I think that's where the balance comes. That player or 2 can be really, really good and a big-time contributor, but there has to be a core that's there with you long-term to keep your culture and all of those things intact.
And growing old matters. We saw the 2019-20 team was fed up with not being good enough and really turned that season into something special. Can BYU grow old? And that requires some, what'd you say, homegrown hoopers? I like that phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. In football, because there's so many more guys that contribute, we probably haven't noticed that BYU's relied on the transfer portal for as long as I can remember. Now, in the old days, it was the JC route, but the JC route isn't used as much anymore because of the transfer portal. But let's go all the way. Let's go back to '96. The two starting corners that played every single game and were lights out are Tim McTire and Omar Morgan, both JC transfers.
Yep.
Huge cogs, integral part of BYU being a top 5 team. They wouldn't have been without those guys. There were players on the offensive side. But in football, there's so many more guys. And I was thinking about on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball, the incoming transfers this year and their role and the core guys. If I think of the top 5 guys on defense, Tyler Batty, Ben Bywater, Jacob Robinson, Micah Harper, they're all right there. They're in the top 5 guys. Now, Eddie Heckard, I think, may find himself in the top 5, so he's a great addition. Isaiah Bagna as a rush end, we'll see. Does he make his way in? But now we're talking about there's a big core, and the guys coming back that have been in this program, I'm pretty certain are going to be 5 of the top 7 guys defensively. And then on the offensive side, Kingsley's the best player on the offense. He's the biggest NFL prospect. Connor Pay's an NFL guy. Isaac Rex is going to be healthy. Mason Wade, Chase Roberts, Keanu Hill, Cody Epps. Those guys are all going to be in the top 5 or top 10 players offensively. And then I think Aiden Robbins and Keaton Slovis are going to find themselves in that top 5 or 6 on football before it's all said and done. We'll see where they show up. You got to be really good at quarterback. I hope Keaton Slovis ends up in the top 3 on offense, and then BYU's in good shape. So in football, it's a little different because there's so many more guys that contribute, and BYU has NFL talent already on both sides of the ball and has had that. We just saw that in the spring game where the 7 active NFL guys were back there on the sidelines, 7 of them, and more to come here in the next coming years. So football, it's just not quite as obvious because the roster, you bring in 2 transfers that have a big impact and they end up being starters. That's 2/5 of your starting roster all of a sudden just got replaced. It's just not as obvious in football, but it's happening in football too. It just seems like there's a better balance by nature of how many guys have an impact. And they have some good players coming back on the football side. I think they have some good players coming back from the core on basketball. They were just really young last year and pressed into action when they were just back from missions, which really wasn't fair to them. We'll evaluate them this year and see if Mark and those guys did a good job recruiting when they recruited those guys out of high school before they went on their missions. I have an inkling that we're going to find out that those guys are really good, and that when Colin Chandler comes back, he's going to be really good too.
Blaine, we were discussing this too, and we don't know the answer. I want to get your thought on this. Certainly in football and men's basketball, football, BYU is competitive nationally. Men's basketball, BYU trying to get back to that. Women's soccer and women's volleyball, you could argue, with cross country, I suppose, are the most competitive national sports that BYU competes in. They don't rely on the transfer portal heavily. Why is it that football and men's basketball require this, whereas those do not?
Men's football and basketball are trying to make the climb. Think about it. BYU just played in a national championship game in soccer. Was it the year before last, right? Yep. They're a perennial top 10 program. So they go recruit anybody they want. They made their way to the point where Gonzaga is in basketball. Gonzaga relied on the transfer portal a little bit, and Europe and New Zealand and Australia until a few years ago. And then they got back-to-back National Players of the Year to sign in Suggs and Holmgren, right? And so you got to get there. And then when you get there, then all of a sudden you can get a higher level recruit. I think the BYU is going to get a higher level recruit in both football and basketball just by virtue of actually being in the Big 12 starting this year. I think in basketball, from a transfer perspective, I think they get a higher caliber transfer just by virtue of who they're going to play and the exposure that they're going to get with who they're going to play in a Power 5, Power 6, because we got to include the Big East League, right? So it takes time to get there. The soccer program, the volleyball program, those programs are already there. We had Jen Rockwood on one of our shows. I can't remember what show it was. And we said, it seems like you guys would be ready to compete. And she made no bones about it. She said, oh, yeah, we go in and expect to compete for a championship in that league right now because we expect to compete for national championships. And the people that are recruiting know that that's where they're at in soccer. So you can get the best recruits in the country because you're already proven. Football and basketball have to get there. The first step was to get into a P5 league, and the next step is to compete in that league, and then you can get a higher level recruit when you do that. So you gotta create a little magic and find some diamonds in the rough between now and then. All it takes is getting to an Elite Eight in basketball, and all of a sudden the recruits that are available to you change dramatically.
All right, let's get back to football, but move away from the portal conversation. Obviously had the spring scrimmage, no activities this week. We'll wrap up spring football next week. What are your takeaways from where BYU is right now in the process of making these changes and kind of turning things over and getting into a new year? Where do you think they are right now?
Yeah, I like the tone that I've seen in practice, and I got to go because we were doing the Friday spring game. They let me come watch the real scrimmage a few days before on Monday that week. And you know what's been happening in spring ball is offense wins the day one day, and they're moving the ball really well. Defense gets ticked off. They kind of game plan. They come back and they dominate the next day. That's what you want in spring ball. If one side of the ball is absolutely dominating, that actually can be a problem, right? You want it to go back and forth. Most important thing to me is, because the most important position maybe in any team sport is quarterback in football, is that Keaton Slovis has looked really good. And what you hear from people, I love what you hear them talk about. They talk about, man, this guy's just a workhorse. Like, he is in the weight room. He's in the film room. He doesn't want to leave this place. Culturally, he's a phenomenal fit. Teammates love him already. He's going to be a great leader. Well, those were the questions I had about Keaton Slovis coming in as a grad, as a one-year guy. Is how is he going to fit in? Go look at his skill set on tape from all the way back to when he was a freshman and sophomore at USC. He can make every throw on the field. He's got the physical skills. How is he going to fit in? And the answer is a resounding, really, really well. That bears, I think, that's a big thing to come out of spring ball with. And they've got a couple more practices next week when they come back from spring break. But that's what I was looking at. And the passion and the aggressiveness that the defense is playing with is the other theme from spring ball. Part of it is you got a new coaching staff, and every player knows their job's on the line, so they're playing with tremendous passion and excitement. And they're also excited to play a more aggressive style. And I think there's going to be some guys that emerge on defense that were just okay players last year that in a different philosophy, we may go, whoa, where was that guy last year? Well, he's playing a different technique this year that matches his skill set better. I think the defense is going to be surprisingly good. So those are my takes from spring ball. Quarterback position is going to be in good hands, and it's going to be deeper than it's been in a while. We really didn't get to see Aiden Robbins at running back, but I think Miles Davis is back and looking good. Ropati's look good. The offensive line is going to be really good again. This football team is going to be better and more competitive in this league than people are giving them credit for right now. And if they go out and win 7 or 8 games next season, I will not be surprised based on what I've seen in spring ball.
Amen. And of note, the top 3 quarterbacks on the pecking order, all from the transfer portal. Blaine, we appreciate the time. Thanks, man.
Good to talk with you guys.
Thanks, Blaine.